So TaylorMade have suddenly brought out a new iron, almost in the middle of the season, and I had some suspicions and I wasn't too sure whether a change up in this P790 iron was all that good, but thankfully I've been surprised. And surprised in the right ways, because this multi-material design iron with a forged face is probably one of our most, I guess, best performing irons here in the fitness center. Let me explain what multi-material means and why it's important. So multi-material means that they've used different materials, be it metals, polymers, plastics, whatever it might be, to change the way that the club is designed to allow them to move both center of gravity, move weight internally, change the internal structure, which makes this club very high performing. High performance means they can move the center of gravity location or the weighting location within individual irons within the set to improve the ball flight. Now, what does that mean? Well, it kind of breaks down into these kind of, I guess, different parts within this club. So let's talk about the speed foam. This is an injected foam that goes inside the head, and this creates what I refer as the forgiving part of the club. The forgiveness comes from the speed being retained across the face. So I've hit a few shots with the face of this club just to explain what this retention of speed means. So take a look at the face here. I've purposely hit these a little off center so that you can understand when I'm talking about retentive speed, what that means. It means off center hits and how they sort of work with this particular club. So speed retention is really important for me when I'm doing fittings here. All this information is about stuff that I've seen from clients that come here for fittings. So this is information I think that you might be able to use if you're trying to make a decision on this club. Speed retention means when I don't quite hit it in the center of the club, how much speed do I lose? So in the past, if you'd hit it a little bit off center, maybe heel or toe, you'd see a big drop in speed. This drop in speed means you're in that greenside bunker or you're long and left. What I found with this new P790 is the speed has increased a little bit because of the way that they've managed the internals of the club, but really that retentive speed has become much more consistent. So the club is more forgiving. That means it suits a broader handicap as far as I'm concerned. Now, a lot of people have said to me, oh, I wouldn't be able to hit that club. It looks like a blade. It's a bladed club. Let's break that down now. This is not a bladed club. It looks like a bladed club in that it looks like it's a performance or a very low handicap type player's club, but it's not. The blade is because they've got a front part, they've got an internal structure which creates this massive forgiveness or speed retention or whatever way you want to describe it, and then the back part sandwiches it together. That foam that's on the inside creates this strike across the face that allows for that consistency of speed. It's really important that you note that, because that consistency of speed is what's going to make this club forgiving for you, and it's going to miss more pin high. I've got a few actually shots that I want to show you. So you can see I purposely missed quite broadly, easy for me, but I've missed really sort of different shots across the face so I can show you the misses in terms of these shots, okay? But look at the speed retention, and these are the numbers here. You can see how close they are. 175, 177, 174, 167, 174. The consistency of speed, even across the different hits, means that this club is extremely forgiving in that face structure. Right, so something else to note about this club, the launch is high. All right, so what does that mean? Well, when you strike this club, when you get to hit it, you're going to see the ball flight coming out quite high. And that means a couple of things you have to be very careful about how you match in with this. The first thing you got to be careful about is the loft settings. Please don't go off the lofts that are on the website. Those lofts don't mean anything. They're a manufacturer's guide to what they would set the lofts up to. It has no relevance really to you. The only way you're going to be able to figure that one out is get some strikes on it, get some TrackMan numbers or launch monitor numbers, and then you'll be able to see what sort of spin rates you're getting, how high is that launching, and then customize the lofts within the set to suit those distance gaps. You got to do this, it's important. The other thing is the shaft. All right, so it comes with a dynamic gold 105 in there, which is a kind of a decent enough shaft in terms of mid-kick. But you need to be careful about how you apply the shaft to this higher launch. So if you go for instance, a KBS 90 or a Nippon 950, you're going to see the ball flight launching even higher. Now this is great because we can suit this club then to a really broad centered player, where if a golfer struggling to fly it or struggling to get energy in the hit, we can use the shaft along with the higher launch parameters to get the ball into the air. But you may need to move to a higher weighted or a heavier weighted sort of mid to high kick point shaft if you're trying to get that ball flight a little bit more penetrating. penetrative, and then work with the lofts within the set to get that whole thing dialed in absolutely perfectly. This is essential. Don't bypass this. There's no hot spots within this club. I would say it's a lot to do with the fact of how they've changed the internal weighting structure and moved the CG around in the different heads. That's creating this, I guess, lack of flyers or lack of those kind of zippers that I've seen in some of the sets where you get this real kind of jumpy flight. That's gone. This new P790, the 23 version, is definitely much more consistent, a lot sort of a more level playing, and it doesn't have those hot spots that I've seen in the past. Right, the last thing I want to talk about is the CG location. Okay, so where does this benefit? Well, they've kept the lower irons, so those 8 and 9s, where the cavity is much more peripheral, so you'll get more stability from this. They haven't pushed the CG low in these heads, but they've kept the weighting more around the outside, so for a more forgiving, consistent, solid feel. The face is better as well. It doesn't feel as kind of clicky as before. It's doing a great job in keeping things soft and sort of respectable in terms of the feedback. Then in the mid irons, they've moved the CG location out towards the toe. This creates much more stability within the club where you need it in those mid irons. And then in the long irons, where I've seen a much easier flight, so a much more forgiving flight from the 3, 4, and 5, they've moved the CG lower into the face. This pulls the weighting down and creates that little bit of an easier strike off those longer irons. The bottom line is, here at ForeGolf Custom, we have seen this club definitely jump forward in terms of design. It's more evolutionary than revolutionary, but I definitely see that this is a better version of the past iterations, and definitely one that we will see performing well here, and hopefully for you guys when you go to change your irons. Hey, listen, do me a favor. Will you stick a like there or subscribe to the channel? It really helps things move things along for us. And I'll see you at the next video. Thanks for watching.